Hello. All videos on this channel are connected together with the same logic and the same main idea. What if our universe is a huge discrete robot that follows specific algorithm? This assumption gives many different implications, and one of them is an explanation, what would free will mean in such world? And helps us understand, if free will exists in our universe or not. The interesting thing is that in our current world, as we understand it, we cannot even give any strict definition on what is free will. Wikipedia says, free will is the capacity of agents to choose between different possible courses of action unimpeded. Not very clear, I would say. This definition needs explanation on who is agent and who is not. What does it mean, to choose? What does it mean, unimpeded? And even if we define all of that and everybody agrees on definitions, new questions will arise. How that free will appeared, how is it compatible with the laws of physics, etc. Huge amount of books were written, different models were described. This process started probably with ancient Greeks if not earlier and continues till these days. If I was a philosopher and had a new idea on the matter, I would have to read and describe you all of the main concepts that already exist, but I will not do that as my interpretation of free will is not based on any existing model of free will. It is based on the assumption that we are all robots following algorithms. Please note that I clearly understand that this concept of free will is different from the one that is used currently, which is being responsible for what you do. I will explain later how these concepts are connected. So what kind of a free will could somebody who just follows algorithm ever have? Well, it would be an ability to change your own algorithm. Now let's return to the Wikipedia definition and explain every part of it for the universe of robots. Let's break this definition into pieces and explain separately. Choose between different possible courses of action. If robot change his algorithm, it means he will act differently in specific situation, so it would look as if robot could choose between different possible courses of action. Now who are the agents and at which moment free will appeared? If the universe is a huge robot, then everything in it is an agent. All matter and energy should have a free will, and that free will would need to be shown, and I will show it later. As a result, free will did not ever appear. It could be one of properties of matter from the very beginning. Unimpeded in this model would mean that there was no reason why robot changed his algorithm. How this concept is connected with being responsible for what you do. At the moment of making crime, it is too late to change algorithm, too late to make a decision, and too late to be free. If robot makes a crime by following his algorithm and nothing affects him, he is unimpeded. It means that he is a bad robot and needs to be isolated from other robots. But even though he was not free when making a crime, he was free to change his algorithm earlier, for example when he was planning the crime, when he was considering possibility to get into jail for his actions. So my concept of free will does not say that you are free to choose whether to shoot or not to shoot. It's about being able to program yourself the way that this question never appears in your head in the first place. Or even if this question appeared in your head, being able to stop yourself not to get into jail. If you could not stop yourself and made a crime, then you are fully responsible for that. Now let's return to the robot's free will concept that I described earlier. As we can see, for universe of robots, existence of free will would be equal to existence of a truly random event. Somebody would ask, why do I put equality between truly random event and free will? Well, because it's impossible to find any difference. In one of my previous videos that demystifies the Schrödinger cat and Lorentz transformations, I've shown a sequence of coins that describes mutually exclusive movement on a checkerboard. Assumption that we live in a world that consists of mutually exclusive events would explain the Schrödinger cat mystery, explain Lorentz transformations and other stuff. You can see details in that video. Link to the video is in the upper right corner of the screen right now. Let's copy that algorithm. Imagine that you decide where to move next using instructions that look like a sequence of coins, which can be either heads or tails. If it's heads, you move right. If it's tails, you move up. After following the instruction, coin is moved to the bottom of the sequence and the next instruction is followed. So all coins are used as instruction one by one in infinite loop. Each movement we will call a moment of time. Let's imagine that you have 1 tails and 2 heads in the sequence. So you will move like this, up, right, right, up, right, right and so on. Let's call this sequence of coins a particle. Imagine that coin can also randomly unpredictably leave the particle and become a separate particle consisting of 1 coin. This action would change the algorithm of original particle, would change its direction of movement, and a new separate particle would also appear. How would you differ such random unpredictable event from coin's free will? There is no any way to differ, so there is no any reason to differ. If we cannot know how coin chooses when to leave the particle, we can assume whatever is more suitable for us. As a result, being able to make random action and having free will would be the same thing for the coin. So we can say it's coin's choice to not follow the rules and leave the particle, at least until we find the randomizer. From another point of view, if the probability of coin leaving the particle is low enough, we can also call that action error. We can say that coin had to follow its algorithm, but failed to do that. So free will in this case can be considered as an error in algorithm execution. To understand if free will exists in universe of robots, we need to understand if random event exists in such universe. Which random events do we know? Heisenberg uncertainty principle in quantum mechanics. This effect per my theory might appear to be pseudorandom. I will explain it in one of my next videos. Cosmological redshift and black body radiation, these are very good potential candidates. I will explain what I mean in details in one of my next videos. Evolution. The evolution theory is actually based on existence of random changes in DNA. If we say that they are not random, we need another evolution theory. The intuition, the guess, the eureka, the happiest thought of Einstein. I will explain why I think those are examples of random events and how that might work per my assumption in one of my next videos. So what is free will for robot? It's his ability to act differently. Why robot needs such ability? Because if you always act the same way, you never act better. There are no guarantees that if you act differently, you make the right choice and act better and not worse, but there is definitely a guarantee that if nobody ever acts differently, there will be no any better, no any progress. Progress is impossible without acting differently. Just like evolution is impossible without DNA copying errors. If everybody follows existing books, there will be no new, better books. Books would not ever appear in the first place if nobody ever tried to act differently. Just like blue and red pill, it's always your choice, what to do, to follow the rules created by others, or to write new rules yourself. So right now I propose you to choose the red pill and act differently. Subscribe to this channel and maybe we can rewrite some of existing books and even write new ones. Or choose the blue pill and forget this video, ignore these ideas. But please note that if my guesses are right and if this universe is a huge robot, humanity will find it out sooner or later. New theories appear. Information theory, constructor theory, the Wolfram Physics Project, pantheism, panpsychism. Humanity is approaching to this idea from different directions and sooner or later it will become mainstream. So maybe you don't have a choice in this particular situation. Sorry. But you still have a choice. You can watch the world changing without your permission or you can take part in changing the world yourself. Anyway, your current knowledge is not you did not get it yourself. You were programmed in school and university to believe it's true. Actually, you did not have a choice at that moment. You don't have any reason to protect that knowledge. The real power of humanity is that we can change our mind, unlike any other species on the planet. That is what we have free will for. That is why we are so powerful. Free will, free mind. I don't even ask you to believe me. My theory gives predictions and can be checked. All we need is to make the real science check the predictions in experiments. As you can see, One simple assumption lets us turn complex questions into simple, even primitive ones. There are much more things that can be explained. So, do you have a free will? Do you want to act differently? Do you want to change the world? Thank you for your attention.